back. I hope you're all well and keeping safe, and despite obviously staying at home, I hope everything's going okay for you all. I thought in today's session, in this session, I'd like to do something which is primarily aimed at children, but it can be done by or adults too. So don't just write it off because I just said it's aimed at children. But I'm getting a bit of feedback from people who I know, and they're using some of the lessons to sort of help with their kids, especially the younger children, sort of education, but obviously to do with art. And I kind of felt I just want to do something which I thought you could watch and then hopefully maybe incorporate it, and something that children could perhaps do or younger people could do without too much coaching. And when I said education, I don't mean this is taking over from the national curriculum or anything like that. I just think I'm trying to provide something which hopefully is helpful and sort of entertaining. We've talked about stickmen before. In session, I think 3 and session 6, we introduced them, and I'd like to, as I said before, I sort of tend to sort of go back to things, so I want to go back to stickmen, but this is now session 3 of stickmen. And what I want to do today is introduce the idea of a basic kind of comic strip. So you can draw quickly with using the stickmen base for the figures, add stories and kind of develop your own sort of imaginative ideas. So for this exercise you will basically need some pens and paper and coloured pens, crayons, anything. Now, just to remind you, before we do some drawing, this is what a cartoon looks like. Generally, there's square boxes or rectangular boxes, and they go across as a story. Now, I know you all know that, but it's. I just wanted to remind you of the format. So there tends to be, in each square there'll be some figures, some background, and a little bit of writing, and then so on and so on and so on. I'm sure you know that. And the other thing I would like you to have, which might help, is some magazines with figures in. Obviously, if a child is doing this, then they can use magazines which they're interested in. And if you're an adult doing this and you want to try things which are perhaps a bit more complicated, you can use magazines like this, which have sometimes more complicated figures in. So, as I said, pen, paper, things to colour, and magazines or references. Obviously, you can do anything you like online. I presume you have internet, you wouldn't be watching this. Sorry about that, it's a bit stupid. But the point, so if you want to look up certain figures, say like footballers or soldiers or something, then you can Google those and see what images you can get. And one thing you can do then is you can print them also, which then you can trace them if you want to trace things. That makes it easier. So ignoring the actual cartoon at the moment, just let's think about drawing figures. Now we want to simplify the figures as much as we can so they're not complicated. So when we did a stickman before, we did a body, some sort of arms, legs, and a head. Could be round, the body could be round, slight bend in the knee. So we keep everything very simple. Okay, there we go. That's kind of, and if the man is looking to the side, something like that. Okay, so that's as simple as we need. Okay. Now, when we did this before with magazines, we worked on figures and we pushed the stickman figures further and further, and so they got more complex. So again, if you want to, you can do that with this exercise, but for children, people or people who want to do a cartoon or something quicker, don't have to push it too far. So what we're going to do is find figures that we think suit our story. So we have to think of a story, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But this is the drawing process. So we look at something like that. In fact, I'll start with something sort of simpler. We're doing the body, the feet, the arm, and the head, and the suggestion is looking away. That's as kind of complicated as you want. So this person here, he's facing towards us, head's perhaps tilting back, arm, bottle, other arm, one leg like that, and one leg facing. So this is as complex as you have to take this. Now if we look at a more complicated actual figure, so I'll just move this slightly. This is a crouching one. If we just, again, sort of draw the body as a square, got the arm there, reaching up, head back, nose, eye, mouth, smiling, sorry. And the legs look really complicated, but just kind of something like foot, and then the knee like that. So we're probably adding a bit of feet there. Now something you can do also is add like sort of blocks, so the hands become more blocky. So you could actually do that. So there's a hand there holding the bottle, and the feet the same sort of thing. And then if you want to make it more complicated or complex, you just add a bit more form to the figure. But that's basically the principle. So that's as complicated as we need to. So next we need a comic strip. It's really simple. Basically you draw squares, as I showed you earlier, and rectangles. Now the one thing you saw in the magazine or the Obelix book was they tend to be in a line. So if you've got a ruler, great. If not, use a box and just draw round the box and so on, and they can be together. Sorry, don't forget I'm kind of rushing this because I want to sort of get you going, and then you can overlap, so you can change the size, and then using your ruler and then if you want to, you can just quickly draw like that. So that's the box element. I mean, obviously you're probably working in A4, so I'm sort of blowing up to exaggerate. So you might have more layers going down and so on. Now, just want to think a bit about a story. So obviously Asterix, is a storybook. So there's a story going through. Now this is probably about 70 pages, 40, 50 pages, but I'm not asking you to do that. You could just do one page. You could just do really something. You could do something about what's happening around you, your family, or the sort of present situation. Keep it light, potentially, or perhaps make it more serious. Perhaps make a point. But either way, think about that, and that requires, a bit of writing and a bit of note taking. So I'm not going to go into that now, apart from, think of a nice story or just draw things which are happening around you. Keep it simple, and then once you've got that, start planning your first few squares. And so then you go back to looking at the figures in the magazines and seeing what you can find and seeing if those figures suit. Right, I'm really sorry about the cartoon. It was awful, but and it wasn't drawn very well. But and I had to sort of kind of think off the top of my head as to what to do. But I was just trying to make a point. So the purpose of the exercise is to try and use the basic stickman drawing to do a story as a cartoon. You could do this for 5 minutes, or you could do this for the next week. It's just one thing. Just let it grow and use your imagination. I think I've given you a bit of help with the reference, so look at figures, find books with figures in, look them up, all the rest of it. But most of all, try and let your story rule. And as your story develops and you get more confident with drawing the figures, let the figures develop too. So I hope you enjoy that. I know it's a strange sort of, it's a basic one today, but it's also quite complicated, and it could be quite fun. It could sort of take up quite a lot of time. So Please stay safe, and I'll keep posting things, and I'll talk to you all soon. Take care. Bye.